Now, live with newsrooms in Midland and Odessa, this is CBS 7 News at 6.
When people think of guns, they often conjure up images ranging from old Clint Eastwood films to violent crime. But there's a vast middle ground between those stereotypes that includes the growth of shooting as a sport.
CBS 7's Joshua Skinner is in the studio now and has more on how the growth of shooting sports is spurred by a group that might surprise you in this special report.
Thanks, Jay. I took a trip out to a small West Texas town to speak with a high schooler who is leading the way for a generation of female shooters and paving the way for those who come after her.
In the seemingly infinite number of six-man towns in West Texas, it's not uncommon for students to juggle multiple activities. Ryann Phillips is one of those students.
I do UIL Congress, I do UIL CX debate, and I do persuasive speaking.
She's a junior at Borden County High School, but like the conflicting West Texas landscape she calls home, she also has another passion.
Pull. I do shooting sports.
An understatement if there ever was one. Ryann is one of the 5 best female junior shooters in the United States in the bunker trap category and top 20 overall.
Haha, we'll get asked all the time, oh, did your dad get you into this? And she's like, nope, Mom. My mom refused to let me show animals, so I went through the 4-H list of things I could do, and I found shooting sports and was like, let's give this a try.
So she picked up a shotgun.
Pull. She was really bad. She really hated it. The gun was too big for her. She was tiny. It kicked. It wasn't fun.
But she got better, like a lot better. And that caught the eye of USA Shooting.
I have made the Junior World Cup team, and I'll get to travel this summer or this fall.
Which means she'll get to represent the United States in Almaty, Kazakhstan, and Las Palmas, Peru. She's a big fish in a very small pond, which can be intimidating.
People were like, oh, I don't want to shoot with her because she'll beat me.
But when she leaves that pond, she has to shake stereotypes.
It's just me and my mom. And when we travel places, we're 2 women going into a gun shop looking for shells. And I know we've been in places where someone will come up to us and be like, oh, you look lost, you know, when we're looking for shells. And it's like, actually,
those stereotypes are crumbling. But in order to understand how it's crumbling, one must understand what is crumbling. So let's rewind a bit. The original handgun, more like a hand cannon, was invented in the 14th century and used almost exclusively by men for military purposes. Fast forward to the late 19th century, and women and guns were still heavily frowned upon, illustrated by the Queen Victoria line that, quote, only fast women shot. Fast meaning, well, you get the point. But what the good queen didn't know is that out west, Annie Oakley was amassing a fortune with her rifle, while strongly advocating for women to become more active in shooting. But it's one thing to get involved in shooting and a totally different one to be allowed to compete. The first Women's World Shooting Championships weren't held until 1958, almost 60 years after the men's. In 1976, Margaret Thompson Murdoch, competing against men, became the first woman to win a shooting medal in the Olympics when she grabbed silver in the 3 positions event. But it's only recently that women's involvement in shooting sports has skyrocketed, increasing nearly 200% since 2000.
Women are some of the best shooters because it's a finite thing. To press the trigger is very finite. Everything else is a gross motor skill. Pressing the trigger is a finite skill.
And not just in adults.
I hit a piece. Eyes, ears, gun, vest, shells. It's my checklist every time.
At just 17, Ryann is gunning for a spot on the 2024 U.S. Olympic team in Paris.
It would be amazing. It definitely seems kind of unreal. My travel team spot this year kind of seems the same way.
Meaning she might be the next Annie Oakley or Margaret Murdoch, inspiring the next generation of women shooters. But even more than that.
I try and go up to talk to girls, guys, young ones, new ones, you know, because I know I really would have appreciated a lot of help when I first started, so I try to give them that help.
But unlike many other athletes vying for their sport's highest honors, there's only a handful of Olympic-style ranges in Texas she can practice at, the nearest being 3.5 hours away in Fort Worth.
There's a lot of people who go out and practice every single day, and while it might be amazing, like I can't, and I've made do with what I have, so, and it's worked out. Shooting is a very big part of my life, but it's not the only thing I do.
In fact, her ultimate career goal is about as far away from gun sports as humanly possible.
I would actually like to open up my own plant nursery or flower shop somewhere. So
in the near term, Ryann has already knocked out 12 hours of college coursework, and she plans to leave Texas to shoot in college, whether that's the north or east or maybe somewhere with grass. She's not sure. But one thing is for sure, she's locked and loaded for whatever life throws out there.
Ryann hopes to major in business with a minor in botany. She'd like for her plant shop to help subsidize her training since, unlike most countries, the United States does not subsidize its athletes' training, meaning nearly all of her practice is done with her own money. Back to you.